All right. Well, let's see. Let's talk to Karen for a minute. Karen, hello.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. Hey, this is a question about
Hmm.
entities, Dr. Brad.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like there's these cycle, at least in my experience, and it has been the experience of other healers as well,
Hmm.
that there seems to be this ebb and flow. Like it'll be, months, things will be kind of quiet on the entity front, and then suddenly there'll be some sort of shift, and it's like they're everywhere. Like every single patient either has them around them or attached to them, and I end up being so busy clearing, clearing my office, clearing my home, clearing my car. I mean, and that's what's happened over the last few weeks. But it's happened a few months ago, and then it kind of calmed down. Other healers have felt like, as the earth is healing, as we are becoming more and more conscious, a higher frequency,
Hmm.
that it means that the scum will come to the top, come to the surface to be healed, to be gotten rid of, basically.
Hmm.
And that's why this is happening. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just curious if you or other people, your practitioners, have noticed this kind of trend as well, or maybe it's specific just to me and my friends, because that's part of the role or whatever that we came to Earth to do.
Well, yeah, I have noticed this to some degree. I think that sometimes it seems like they just won't leave you alone, and then sometimes you'll go for a few weeks and they don't seem to be a bother. I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know. They've got they're on their own program and they're receiving instructions and they're being told, I think, a lot of the time where to go and
Mm.
who to bother and so on. What I have found though in my own life is that they can sense certain things. I think they can sense when you're on the verge of some kind of a breakthrough, okay, that
Yep.
is going to bring light into the world, or that is going to be healing for a lot of people, or break the chains that they've put on a lot of people. Then suddenly they'll attack, you know. And by attacking, what I mean is that they have the capability to make you feel depressed. And usually, what I find usually, if I'm feeling depressed, that's an unusual state for me to be in. If I'm feeling depressed, it's almost always because I've got some entities around. They have that capability. It's weird, but they can make you feel depressed, and they want to. They kind of bring darkness and they're from the dark, and so that's kind of what they do. So if you're on the verge of some kind of a breakthrough, I mean, if all of a sudden you got lots of entities around and you're having a lot of trouble with them, I would say, hey, something good's about to happen, and they can sense that. It's weird. They also, of course,
Mm.
sense and will be and are drawn to negativity and low vibrations, of course. And so if you're choosing to feel a low vibration, then they sense that, kind of like moths to a flame. They can sense that and they'll be attracted because they're everywhere around us. They're all over the place. So you want to be careful what you listen to and what you watch, and it's there's a book that was written that has, I think, probably there's a chapter in this book. It's called Visions of Glory, and it was written by a guy named John Pontius. And I'll put that on a slide here because let's see here, Visions of Glory. One of the there I've read a lot of books about near death experiences, and they're always fun to read and they're always fascinating. But this particular one, Visions of Glory, you can find it on Amazon, is I think probably one of the most remarkable, amazing visions that anybody has ever had. What happened was this guy, not John Pontius, but another guy actually who had all these visions. John Pontius is just the author. It was as told to John Pontius. This man named Spencer had all these visions. He was very, very sick, and so he'd be near death, and an angel would come and would take him into the future, and he would actually live in the future, and he would be able to he experienced all this future stuff and then recorded all of this stuff. And I mean, he sees everything that goes on for decades and decades. So it's really, really fun. I love reading stuff like that, amazing stuff. But also, there's a chapter in his book that is just mind blowing, and it's about entities. And
Mm.
if you're dealing with entities, you have to read that chapter because it clearly explains, and it's so graphic, what they do and how it works. And I mean, it'll make your blood kind of run chill. But remember that these entities have no power over us at all unless we give them power over us. They don't have any power over us at all. They're kind of wimpy, really. If you just resist them, they will flee from you, basically. My wife had a situation that is kind of one of those things that'll kind of curl your hair if it's not already curled, where she was in college and she had just broken up with this guy that she was really in love with, and was lying on her bed in her room and was feeling really despondent and depressed and sad. And all of a sudden, she heard this sound like the house was on fire, this rushing wind kind of sound, and this crackling, but she couldn't move. She was paralyzed. She could not move, couldn't move a muscle. And she actually thought the house was burning down. And then she heard this voice that spoke to her that said, "We want your soul."
Oh, jeez.
Right? Pretty scary. And so, yeah, and she was paralyzed and couldn't move, but she prayed and she exerted all of her effort to pray and asked God to help her. And within a few moments after starting to pray, she was released from that and it was gone. And I had an experience when I was in Italy as a Mormon missionary years ago, where I was surrounded by entities for, as near as I can tell, about 3 hours, and they were screaming and yelling at me. And, so anyway, and I tell that story, I think, in the Body Code videos, but anyway, yeah, they're real. And it's time that we recognize that they are playing a role in the world that we live in. And so it's time for us to be aware. So anyway, if you have a chance to get this book, Visions of Glory, highly recommend it, especially the chapter, I think it's like maybe the fourth or fifth chapter, where he's taken by this angel and he's shown what goes on. He's taken to a dance club and he's taken to a racing track, horse racing, and he's taken to this private home where this man comes down the stairs, everyone else is asleep, and his wife and kids are asleep, and he comes down and he starts watching porn. And you're able to see the role that these entities play in all of these different situations. It's just mind-blowing what's really going on that we just don't see, don't have any ideas. So I highly recommend that.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's really helpful. And I think that sometimes I think people, like my patients, are making these amazing strides. And like you said, sometimes it's when they're on that verge of really getting over their addiction or whatever they're working on, that's when they're attacked and they get, pulled back down a notch. But then we know, when that happens, like, no, that's not happening,
Yeah,
we can catch it. And then you might get depressed, but I get irritated or irritable, and I'm usually pretty low, like patient. I shouldn't say patient, but I mean, not really the angry type. I'm usually pretty positive, and so when I start getting irritable, and James is my husband's great. He's like the entity meter, because when he starts getting angry and angrily doing the dishes or something, he knows now to ask. He goes, "Do I have an entity? Did I pick one up from the health food store again?" And then we'll check, we'll clear him, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much better, thank you."
Yeah, isn't it an amazing thing? When you get rid of them, you can just feel so much better immediately. It's really so crazy. And I don't think they like me much, because it's kind of, with the Body Code seminar that we did in Midway, we kind of peeled back the curtain on all the stuff that they've been doing in a real
subversive way.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it's really interesting stuff. Thanks for sharing, Karen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, let's talk to Carolyn here for a minute. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi there. How are you?
Good.
My question with the entities is, it's obvious that there are a lot of entities in the situation in Ferguson, Missouri. Is there a way that we can, from here, clear those entities?
That's a good question. Generally speaking, well, it certainly can't hurt to try, and I think that prayer and asking the higher power for help and to intervene is maybe the most powerful way that you can do it. As far as Generally speaking, it's not a problem to release entities and to get rid of entities if they are, if they are attached to a certain person, then you can act as proxy for that person and get rid of those. So I think what I would be most inclined to do would be to pray for help, pray that the higher power will come in and disperse those entities and bring peace to that area. It's and that's a good thing to do in so many areas. The world needs it so badly.
Definitely.
Yeah. And Karen is adding in, she says, apparently the Lord's Prayer is a very powerful anti-entity prayer. Sorry, forgot to say earlier. Yeah, I found in my own life that they are repelled by high vibrations. So sure, the Lord's Prayer, scriptures, the Bible, Book of Mormon, New Testament, Old Testament, things like that. Playing music. Like Handel's Messiah is one of my favorites. It's from Christmas time, but you can play it any time of the year. They hate that kind of stuff. So anyway, food for thought. Also, as far as your pictures and things in your home, that can make a difference. It's good to have things that are high vibration. Karen also says, also rose essential oil on the third eye and heart, apparently. Okay. All right. So rose essential oil on the third eye and heart. Good. That can help as well. All right. Fantastic. Go ahead.
White angelica is another oil, but it's a young living oil that is put on the crown chakra.
Oh, okay. And what's the name of that one again?
White angelica.
Oh, yeah. White angelica. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Fantastic. Well, thanks, Carolyn. Did you have anything else?
Actually, yes.
Sure.
I've been working to clear the reticence that I have of stepping into the healing work that I know is possible. And I just wondered if there was something that you see as a common thread among healers that are stepping into this.
A common thread as far as being blocked about doing the work?
Stepping into doing the work and being more in the public eye.
Oh, okay. Well, I think that it takes a certain amount of courage to step into your own destiny, really. It's easier to kind of just stay where you've been. And, and change can be hard. And of course, the work that we're doing, this level of energy work is, eventually it's going to be considered the norm, but we're not there yet. And so we're having to step out a little bit of our comfort zone. And we have to be okay with people thinking that we're a little bit off of our nut. And that never bothered me. When I was in practice, I just didn't care. I just got to a point where all I cared about was one thing, and that one thing was helping my patients to get well. That I figured that's my purpose as a doctor. That's what I'm here for. And so I'm open. I don't care what it is. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do anything. If it seems weird or if it's frowned upon by other people, I couldn't have cared less, because if it worked, that's all that mattered. So yeah, I think that I think it's a good idea to check yourself or have someone check you to see if you're okay with with being in the public eye, or with being even not so much in the public eye, but I think that you need to check yourself to see if you're okay with people maybe thinking that you're a little bit weird, because we spend so much of our lives trying to be accepted, by our
peers. I know I'm weird. My nephew calls me Auntie Woo, and that's stuck. And I said, just spell it W-U instead of W-O-O. So I'm not Auntie Woo Woo, but I'm Auntie Woo.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, when I was in practice, people called me a lot of different things, and the funny thing that I found back then, and things are changing, but back all those years ago, people just thought I was so weird. But whatever I did worked. But the funny thing though is people would come in, and back then sometimes in the early days I had a hard time getting people to refer their friends to me because they thought I was so weird. And they would say, and I would ask them sometimes, and they would say things like, well, yeah, you did help me, and it really did work, but I can't I can't describe what you do to my friends, and they just think, it's just so weird. But that was then, see, and now, that was 20 years ago, and a lot of water's gone under the bridge. And if you think about how much more open people now are,
So much. Hmm.
it's a really different world now than what it used to be. So, and that's great for us.
I have another question. Is it
Sure.
possible the Heart Wall DVD that comes in the body code,
Uh-huh.
is it permissible to show that as a little seminar and then have people ask questions? Would that be something that would be
Oh
permissible
yeah,
in your
I
office?
yeah,
Okay,
I think that's a
great.
great idea. Sure, take it to your women's group or wherever, and show it. Yeah, I mean, the more we can get the word out about it, the better. Now we are going to be, we do have a number of people who want to start actually teaching seminars, and I know that Karen, we had talked about this, and we're working on our emotion code instructor program. And
Okay.
we're hoping to release that here within, well, I'm not going to put a time frame on it because it all.
That's interesting to me as well.
Yeah, and that way you'll be able to actually teach full blown seminars. I mean, some people want to do that for a living, and it can be a lucrative kind of a thing, and it's a lot of fun. And some people are into that. Other people don't, are deathly afraid of public speaking, but they'd like to share the emotion code in their home. And so we're working on what we call an emotion code sharing program, where people will be able to share the emotion code in their home, and we'll have some videos that they can just plug in, and it'll be really easy. And then they'll also be affiliates. So if they want to, they can sell our other products and then make money selling those, kind of like a Tupperware sort of a party. So we're working on that. So
Okay.
we'll keep you posted.
I'm very interested. Thank you.
All right,
Sounds
awesome.
great.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn.